Hello everyone, Jonathan Schlack, EAS&Weather here with the severe weather update for the Day 1 outlook. We have a slightly severe weather today that covers the far southeastern corner of Wyoming, northeastern Colorado, most of Kansas, northwestern Missouri, most of Iowa pretty much, and much of Nebraska. And we have a marginal today that covers much of the eastern half of North Dakota, most of South Dakota, most of Minnesota, central and western Wisconsin, going over here to southeastern Wyoming, northeastern Utah, much of northern and east central Colorado, northern Nebraska, southern Kansas, far northwestern and far eastern Iowa, parts of central and east central Missouri, and northwestern Illinois, I'm going to say, or western Illinois, whatever you want to call it. Going over to the tornado threat for today, we have a 5% chance of an isolated tornado today that covers southeastern Nebraska, southwestern Iowa, northeastern Kansas, and northwestern Missouri. We have a 2% chance of an isolated tornado today that covers far southeastern corner of Wyoming, northeastern Colorado, a lot of Nebraska, a lot of Kansas, central and northwestern Missouri, a lot of Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, and southwestern Wisconsin for that 2% chance of an isolated tornado today. Going over to the wind aspect. Sorry. Hold on. There we go. Going over to the wind aspect of things for today. With a 15% chance of damaging wind gusts to 58 miles per hour or higher in the far southeastern corner of Wyoming, northeastern Colorado, central and southern Nebraska pretty much, central and northern Kansas, most of Iowa, and northwestern Missouri. In the black dashed areas in far southeastern Wyoming, southwestern Nebraska, northwestern Kansas, and northeastern Colorado, the black dashed areas is where we have a 10% chance of seeing hurricane force wind gusts today. And we have a 5% chance of damaging wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or higher today. In the eastern half of North Dakota, most of South Dakota, most of Minnesota, southeastern Wyoming, northeastern Utah, northern and east central Colorado, northern Nebraska, southern Kansas, far northwestern and far east central Iowa, central and east central Missouri. And I mentioned most of Minnesota, right? I think I did. It also includes central and western Wisconsin and western Illinois. And the summary indicates severe thunderstorms may develop from parts of the Central Plains into parts of the middle and upper Mississippi Valley today. And tonight, large hail, damaging wind, and a few tornadoes will be possible. So, that's today's outlook. Going over to the Day 2 outlook, which is tomorrow. We have a slight risk for severe weather tomorrow that covers most of Ohio, the very far northeastern edge of Kentucky, northern West Virginia, the panhandle of Maryland, central and western Pennsylvania, and southwestern New York State. We have a marginal tomorrow that covers southeast Colorado, northeastern New Mexico, the panhandle of Texas, most of Oklahoma, central and southern thirds of Kansas, northern Arkansas, most of Missouri, northwestern Tennessee, all of Kentucky, most of Illinois, far southeastern Wisconsin, most of Michigan, all of Indiana, northwestern and far southwestern Ohio. And I said all of Kentucky, right? Yeah, I did. Northwestern and west central Virginia, a lot of West Virginia, Washington, D.C., much of Maryland, northwestern Delaware, eastern Pennsylvania, northwestern New Jersey, a lot of New York State, not including New York City, the very far extreme western tip of Massachusetts, and western Vermont. So, going over to the tornado threat for tomorrow. We have a 5% chance of an isolated tornado tomorrow that covers east central Ohio, the very far extreme north central tip of West Virginia, northwestern Pennsylvania, and southwestern New York State. And the 2% tornado risk tomorrow that covers southeast Michigan, far eastern Indiana, far north central Kentucky, all of Ohio pretty much, northern West Virginia, far north central Virginia, northwestern Maryland, most of Pennsylvania, not including the southeastern part, and central and western New York State for tomorrow, with a 15% chance of damaging wind gusts tomorrow of 58 miles per hour higher in a lot of Ohio, far north central, the far northeastern tip of Kentucky, northern West Virginia, the panhandle of Maryland, central and western Pennsylvania, and southwestern New York State, with a 5% chance of damaging wind gusts within the marginal risk area tomorrow that covers southeast Colorado, northeastern New Mexico, the panhandle of Texas, much of the southern half of Kansas, most of Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, most of Missouri, most of Illinois, the far southeastern corner of Wisconsin, northwestern Tennessee, northern Tennessee I should say, most of Kentucky, all of Indiana, and I mentioned most of Michigan, right? Extreme southwestern and far northwestern Ohio, most of West Virginia, northern and west central Virginia, Washington, D.C., most of Maryland, and I said most of West Virginia, I think I did. Northwestern Delaware, eastern Pennsylvania, northwestern New Jersey, a lot of New York State, not including New York City, the very far extreme western edge of Massachusetts, and the very far western part of Vermont. And here's the hail threat for tomorrow. 5% chance of large hail tomorrow that's 1 inch in diameter or larger in southeastern Colorado, northeastern New Mexico, the northern panhandle of Texas, northern half of Oklahoma, southern half of Kansas, northwestern Arkansas, a lot of Missouri, a lot of Illinois, northern Kentucky, the very far extreme southeastern corner of Wisconsin, a lot of Michigan, all of Indiana, all of Ohio, northwestern West Virginia, a teeny tiny part of the northwestern panhandle of Maryland, western Pennsylvania, and western New York State. So, summary for tomorrow indicates scattered damaging winds and a couple tornadoes are possible on Saturday from parts of Ohio and northern West Virginia, central and western Pennsylvania, and western New York. So, stay safe in the affected areas both today and tomorrow, and monitor the latest forecast for later statements and warnings. And I will have another update tomorrow, so stay safe in the affected areas both today and tomorrow. And I will have another update tomorrow. Take care.